This is an inexpensive plasma cutter, and it needed fixed in two ways. One way was the switch right here. I needed to take it apart and clean it, and I needed to clean the contacts, and I put non-conductive grease in there on the contacts after I was done cleaning it all up, and then I put the switch back together, and that made this part, that made the plasma cutter work again. This is actually a plasma cutter, and it can also do stick welding, and it can also do TIG welding. And on the side you can see it says Gearsmith. So yeah, it was fairly inexpensive. It's a 3-in-1 machine. It's fairly inexpensive on eBay is where I got it from. But yeah, after fixing this switch, I found that a long while later I had to fix the switch, take apart and clean the switch on the torch as well. And there's the torch, and I end up having to take this switch apart and clean it too. Okay, so here I have a torch from my plasma cutter that it was a cheap, it was an inexpensive plasma cutter I got from eBay. It's a Chinese one. It's not one of those high-end ones or name brands like Lincoln or anything like that. It was just an inexpensive Chinese plasma cutter, but it's been working really great. As you can see, that's what the ends looked like, and it had been working really great, but lately it stopped cutting metal, and I didn't know why. I'd press this button, and sometimes I get a little fizzle of a spark going on. Sometimes I wouldn't get anything coming out, and so what I did was I took my multimeter and I set it to ohms, and I used that to test the switch inside and to make sure that the switch was working. And I actually did it from I actually unscrewed this part here with a little Phillips head screwdriver, and I tested I tested the wires right in here. There are like 7 little pins that go in there, but only 2 are actually used, and the 2 wires run from this plug all the way up to this switch. And so I tested the switch to see if the switch, yeah, I have to take off this nylon tie here, and then you flip it over, and then you have to pry this out with a knife or something carefully without breaking it. Just nice and gentle. There we go. And then there's the switch. And so I took my multimeter and I put it across the switch with some alligator clips just to see what kind of resistance. It should be something like only a few ohms. But instead, before I cleaned it, I was getting like sometimes 100 ohms, sometimes a ridiculous amount of ohms. Anyway, so you're supposed to press this button, you're supposed to get a very low ohmage, and so you can see I already fixed it. It's about 1.5 ohms on the meter there, but it was a lot more. Oh yeah, you can see you just put alligator clips across the switch there, and then run it to your multimeter, do an ohms test on it, see how many ohms it is. Should be something close to 1 when you press the button. See, it's infinity right now, and then you press the button, you get like 1 ohm or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, something really, really low. Anyway, if you're getting like 20 ohms or 50 ohms, sometimes 100 ohms when you press this little button, then something's wrong with the switch. But you can fix the switch. You don't have to order a new switch or replace the switch necessarily. All you have to do is get inside the switch and clean the little contacts inside the switch. So let's see if I can do that. open it up for you so you can see inside. Using a little knife blade, very carefully prying it open. I don't want to break it. I can see the crack getting larger as I work all the way around the crack. Now if you can see that. Okay, so I got the cover off the switch. Now there's the switch, and there's the little bitty contacts in there. They're very small, but what I did was I took a nail and some sandpaper and just went right in there with the sandpaper and just sanded the contact there. And actually, I could actually pull this one out without disturbing the spring. So what I did was the one that's connected to this wire, I just pulled it out like that, and then I can actually clean it outside with the sandpaper. I put that back in. So I cleaned that with the sandpaper, and I cleaned that with the sandpaper. And then what you want to do after you make sure that this contact is nice and clean with sandpaper. I had to use a sandpaper and a little wire nail, one of those things that they call wire nails, just to be able to clean it well. And then I checked it out with my loupe, because it's kind of small, the magnifying glass in there, just to see you know, if the contacts were clean. And then once they were clean, now you also want to you might want to put some dielectric grease if you want the contacts to last longer next time. I got some dielectric grease right here. Great for putting on switches. Yeah, dielectric grease. And what you do is you just put a little bit of grease on both of the contacts, and that keeps oxygen and moisture away from the contacts. It's non-conductive grease. It's not just any grease. It's dielectric non-conductive grease that's made for this stuff. So you put a little bit on there. And a little bit down in there. I think I'll spread that around with a little nail or something. Get the grease off your fingers. Not really supposed to probably be touching it much, I don't know. Boy, it's hard to see. Okay, so I'm just gonna spread the dielectric grease on the contact in there. All right. Put the switch back together. Got a little extra there. There we go. Got to put the cover on the same way it came off. There, it's all snapped back together. And this part goes back on. You know, I think I'll put a little electrical tape down here just to make sure the wires are covered. Okay, so I put that back inside. Flip it back on over. They secured it with a nylon tie. I actually removed this nylon tie with a knife. You can actually stick a knife blade down in there if you're careful, and undo the nylon tie so you can reuse it. There. I believe that switch is good to go now. All right. Well, I hope this helps you out, and thanks for watching.